Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up. It definitely makes a difference for us. Now, in the aftermath of Garrison's passing, some surprising family drama has come to light involving the Sister Wives cast. Maddie Brown Brush has decided to reach out to Robin Brown's children. But why now? You'll want to stick around to find out what's been going on behind the scenes. Here's the kicker. Robin's been keeping her 5 kids isolated from the rest of the family, even going so far as to turn off their family group chat during the holidays. That takes a lot of nerve. But what led her to do it? And how is Maddie handling all the drama? If you find that intense, wait to hear what Maddie has to say about possibly reunifying the family. Could they all get together again? Continue watching because things only get more interesting from here. Let's step back. Robin's husband, Kody Brown, disclosed that he is living with Robin and her 5 kids since the pandemic broke out in 2020. At the time, he was married to 3 wives and had a total of 13 children. In spite of the numerous problems, he said there were no huge problems with Christine, Robin, and Janelle's relationships. Kody also thought that his children were risking harm, both physically and emotionally. Countless Sister Wives viewers have been well aware of his obvious partiality towards Robin, frequently referring to her as his obedient wife. This favoritism, though, only generated intense anger in his kids, generating a family rift that seemed incapable of healing. Once the first 3 wives abandoned Kody and the Brown family, only Kody and Robin were left together. Unfortunately, this left Robin's 5 children in total isolation from the original 13 siblings. A bond which had taken years to form was instantly broken. But here's the silver lining. In the midst of all the chaos, the whole family reunited to grieve for the death of Garrison, Kody, and Janelle's son in Wyoming. That moment of solidarity provided a glimmer of hope that perhaps some bridges might be rebuilt. Immediately after the funeral, Maddie had a crucial dialogue with her brother and Leon Brown, the estranged son of Mary Brown. What Maddie told them in that discussion may shock you and could alter all future for the Brown family. In their emotional dialogue, Maddie shared her deep longing to re-establish a relationship with Robin's kids. She withheld no disgust at their father, Kody, going all the way so far as to refer to him by his given name rather than Dad. That takes a lot of guts and indicates just how convoluted things are now. I'm angry about what happened with Kody, but I still get to choose how I react and how I respond back, Maddie confided. I'm choosing to do this on my own terms. That kind of maturity and forthrightness is not common, and it paves the way for what may be yet to come. Maddie also sounded sincerely sorry for her father and the 5 children he has with Robin. She assured everyone that she wants to open the lines of communication. I want to talk to the kids of Kody and Robin, she said. I have nothing against you, and if I've ever hurt you, I apologize. So then, is there hope for reconciliation and healing in this broken family? Maddie Brown Brush appears willing to make peace, even if it means keeping her father and Robin on opposite ends of a fence for now. Maddie does confess that she keeps her distance, but still acknowledges that Robin's children are her siblings. The last few episodes of Sister Wives have been weighing heavy on everyone's hearts as the family grieved the senseless loss of Garrison Brown, who tragically passed away by his own hand in March 2024. Even with the animosity between family members, they all reunited to bid her a final farewell. That said, there was a line drawn at the cemetery. While most of the family stayed on one side, Robin's children stood on the other, with her and Kody. It was touching to witness some of the other children greet Robin's 5 children with warmth as they walked into the cemetery, demonstrating that even during strife, relationships can still emerge victorious. Most of the Sister Wives fans have blamed Robin for seemingly being responsible for the estrangement between her family and the rest of the wives. The viewers have opined that Robin dictated everything in the lives of her children, from tracking their phones to making them feel left out. But not everyone views it that way. Some fans believe there could be more to the story, wondering if the fault lies necessarily with Robin or if something is going on at a deeper level. Maddie and Leon have also been utilizing the power of television as a connection to get back in touch with their siblings. But there is more going on behind the scenes. What symbolic act did Janelle Brown perform for Kody at Garrison's funeral? And why is it important to them? Even prior to Janelle and Kody's breakup, their relationship was strained and distant. And yet, in a shocking turn of events, Janelle demonstrated her ex a degree of grace and kindliness that few had anticipated. What was behind this sudden generosity? Stick with us to discover how Sister Wives depicted this emotional moment and the underlying symbolism behind it. The series has been honoring the late Garrison Brown, who died in March 2024. The final 3 episodes dive deep into his battles, delving into the triggers, the hurt, and the sadness his family went through. They didn't hold back from showing how horrific it was for all of them to find out that Garrison had committed suicide, exposing the raw feelings and trauma that the family went through. When it was time to arrange Garrison's funeral, Kody Brown made a wonderful choice. He wanted his son buried in Wyoming, at the Brown's family ranch where his own parents are interred. This site meant a great deal to the Browns, representing home and heritage. Janelle Brown let Kody, Robin, and their 5 kids come along on the pilgrimage to Garrison's grave. Kody was able to dig the grave himself with the assistance of his brother and brother-in-law. A solemn but deeply personal experience. At the funeral, a poignant scene was played out. Kody sat silently at the graveside as Janelle held the urn up to him, although he was supposed to put it there himself. Then, in a moving gesture, Janelle gave the urn to Kody and said it felt natural because she had given their son to Kody when he was born, and she was now leaving him Garrison when he died. That exchange between the parents was truly heart-wrenching. One of the Sister Wives enthusiasts noticed something significant. Janelle's use of poetic and symbolic words when she told Kody to dig Garrison's grave, rather than taking him home or using softer words. It reflected that she realized just how much Garrison needed Kody's love, albeit too late. Garrison was also said to be estranged from his father Kody at the time of his death, making it even more tragic. This sad truth divided fans, between sadness and sympathy for the broken family. Most viewers were genuinely shocked at Janelle's bravery in that poignant moment when she gave Kody the urn. But even she confessed she momentarily forgot about their troubled issues during the funeral, which was a testament to how overwhelming sorrow is. This was a haunting final chapter in their family's tragic history. But the healing journey has a long way to go. For these 2 mourning parents who had lost a child, much of the audience strongly resonated with the strong symbolism in Janelle's act. They envisioned it as shared experience, giving birth to Garrison together, and now laying him to rest as one family. It was an unvarnished moment of emotion and significance. But not everyone saw it that way. Some people thought the symbolism told a more bitter truth, that the actual suffering and struggle was Kody's absence in Garrison's life. Many perceived Janelle, who had been with Garrison throughout, as being the one who actually needed to bury him. For those never subjected to parental alienation, it is difficult to picture the day-to-day battle, the rejection, shame, and abandonment a child silently suffers. Add to that chronic anxiety and depression, and you have the recipe for a tragic ending. Even with Kody's shortcomings and challenging demeanor, some viewers couldn't help but sympathize with him as well, seeing the complex feelings involved. Most fans, such as Janelle, decided to grant Kody grace in all this, comprehending the profound pain of losing a loved one, particularly a child, amid the silent enormity of such an immeasurable loss, and her children. For those who had spent their childhood amid siblings, joint meals, and living rooms bursting with laughter, this radical change was heart-wrenching. The intimate family existence that they were familiar with was substituted by intangible barriers of distance. This woman clung to her space, and gradually, the family that had shared celebrations for years began to move apart. She kept her household tightly knit, becoming a symbol of loyalty and unwavering support for the family patriarch. Even as others questioned the strict rules set by her spouse, she stood firm, fully backing the regulations without hesitation. Though some viewed such unity as a strength, others considered it an indication of increasing division. Her children, who were once vivacious and participating members of the extended family, gradually detached over time. Messages that previously pulsed with festive planning and casual updates went dark. Chat groups that were once vibrant became muted. Invitations ceased to issue, or when issued, were refused. However, in spite of all this, there was one daughter who refused to let go. She had moved out of her father's house to make a new life for herself, but family ties were indelibly imprinted in her heart. She clung tightly to memories of what had been. She held warm memories of her childhood close to her heart, cuddling along with her numerous siblings. Now, as a mother herself, bringing up her own kids, the recent death of her brother, a robust, intelligent man who was taken far too early, left an emptiness which could not be overlooked. The overwhelming sadness washed away old resentments, uncovering a raw and truthful reality. She had missed her family, every single one of them. The emotional chasm was apparent to everyone as they gathered under a dull sky at a somber resting place deep in the endless Wyoming plains. Before one, those who had opted for independence, walking away from the family head. Before the other, those who had stood by, bound together by everyday closeness and common past. But even within this schism, some bridges remained intact. Reluctant greetings were exchanged between formerly inseparable siblings as the casket was lowered slowly and the wind rustled between the trees. Something new started to glow, a spark fueled by a whispered one-on-one conversation just beyond ceremonial distance. Following the funeral, a brother who had seldom been seen in public recently spoke with the sister who had departed from home to establish her own life. Their conversation was replete with hope, a responsibility, and an intense desire to be connected, much more than the mere customary condolences. In tears and words, full of emotion, she disclosed the agony she bore, not only of the recent loss, but of years of silence, doubt, and questioning whether the family she used to know still existed behind all the fissures. In a moment that caught even herself off guard, she articulated a sincere desire to sit across from her father's other children, the siblings she hadn't spoken to or seen in years, and just say, "Hurt feelings? I have none. If I've hurt you knowingly or unknowingly, I ask you to forgive me." It was a cry out of healing. Regardless of the complicated and frustrating relationship that she has with her father, influenced by divergent values and silent hurts, she made a distinction in her heart. Although they grew up in the same house, she never completely understood her father's other children. Yet, they were her siblings. Apart by time, space, and adult disagreements, love persisted, albeit for a fleeting moment. That moment was full of promise of something greater. Her determination may have been weakened by sorrow, or motherhood may have instructed her in the invaluable worth of second opportunities. Unconditional forgiveness and love appeared to direct her. She would not allow the misuse of adulthood take away the opportunity to be a sibling, to hold on to the relationship in spite of hurt. Fans of the family's TV saga have long speculated about the emotional walls constructed around one specific home. Many think the head of that household was a gatekeeper, regulating interaction between her children and the rest of the clan. Committed to the patriarch's strictures, the critics contend that she had such a stranglehold on her children's lives that their autonomy was restricted. There were even rumors that electronic communication was frowned upon or closely overseen, so that it nearly became taboo to extend beyond her small, circumscribed orbit. But these are speculations, guesses made by observers stringing together what little they have. What lies hidden behind these walls? And can they be dismantled? These are concepts from internet discussion groups and what the audience has witnessed on television. But one thing is certain, there is pain deep on all sides. Perhaps the mother of this far-off household did what she did out of love, fear, or a strong conviction she was defending her children, her family. To her, those who are outside her immediate clan no longer symbolize belonging but strife. But something changed in a cemetery in the middle of the country. Among tear-stained eyes and shattered by grief voices, little things, a nod, a hug, a wave that had once seemed impossible began to occur. Not seeking perfection, this woman is now seeking reconnecting. She understands not every brother will answer, not every conversation will be easy, and not every memory can be recaptured. But the initial steps have been made. But she is opting for courage instead of comfort, advancing where it may be less painful to remain silent. She does not just want to apologize or just smooth things over. It's about finding out what it really means to be part of a family, even a messy, complicated one. It's about letting her children know they have cousins, recounting stories that transcend years of estrangement, and creating room for fresh bonds, fresh memories, and perhaps, one day, family getaways with more laughter than stress. In the weeks after the funeral, tiny indications that things were shifting emerged. A social media status liked or shared, a picture of everyone in one place, not one half of the family. Even as there are some unanswered messages, there is communication occurring. These little things have the weight of decades of history and hope to them. Could these be the initial steps toward healing? The story goes on. People watching this family's journey from a distance tend to make conclusions, lay blame, and choose sides. But for those living in the midst of it, it's always more complicated than that. Each interaction has layers of love, loyalty, confusion, pain, and history. This is something the sister who has stepped in as a bridge truly gets. She's not wishing the past away, and she doesn't say she knows what to do. Rather, she brings presence, integrity, and a real desire to attempt. And in a family where there have been deep wounds, that is a strong gift. Most of all, she desires her children to understand their heritage isn't stuck in suffering. Similar to trees whose trunks are all wrapped up together and go off in various directions, family bonds persist. Uncles and aunts are more than mere words, and cousins can be so much more than faraway strangers. She walks softly and softly through this emotional terrain, not looking for applause, but compelled by something infinitely deeper. She speaks less and listens more, building room for those who may one day move forward. She recalls that peace would have been what the brother they lost would have preferred. One courageous sister is extending a hand in his memory and out of hope for a more unified tomorrow, not because it's easiest, but because it's right. She's a woman who once coexisted spiritually with a man she no longer even calls her partner. A choice that shocked many who read their real-life fairy tale. In a period of sorrow and intense emotional nuance, her decision was not based on shared history, tradition, or duty, but in an environment of truth and bravery. Her decision stemmed from something much more profound, an intimate knowledge of loss, the delicacy of healing, and the irreversibility of death. At the corner of a serene new cemetery, she stood with something irreplaceable in her palms. This lady, a mother who had walked through life's challenges with unobtrusive strength, was holding more than an urn of remains. It bore with it a lifetime of recollections, lost and treasured moments, silence and laughter, hopes clutched hard, and shattered dreams. In that deep moment, she gave the urn to the man who had fathered her children, the man she had left behind. With every passing season, the series of their life explored deeper into the knotty web of intricate connections. Wide-eyed and full of hope, the young man they once raised together grew up with a backdrop of unfulfilled expectations and emotional isolation. His inner turmoil was hidden from the eyes of many, but was passionately felt by those who had glimpsed his real self. His tragic death was not merely a severe loss, but also an unexpected turn of events, an anguished culmination to years of emotional alienation, unspoken anguish, and muffled laments. The family made arrangements for a private funeral in the succeeding days. The young man would be buried in a country fertile with family heritage, a location that represented history, roots, and the stories behind him. A resting ground away from the chaos of his last days. Rather than the childhood residence, his resting grounds were selected to be a plain spot of ground that contained the bodies of both his paternal and maternal forebears. Despite the tough coming together, the mother acquiesced to this choice. She gave her former religious companion permission to take their son to a site once associated with harmony, communal origins, and hope for generations to come. This was not just a funeral. It was a pilgrimage, a return to the initial start. The audience watching from the outside asked her why. Why forgive a man whom most thought had fallen short of fatherhood? Why give him the respect of closure after so many lost moments to pride and abandonment? What she really saw was the pain hidden behind his stubborn face, the grief beyond his obstinacy. She saw a man shattered, not just by his own guilt, but also by the harsh truth that time had deprived him of the opportunity to right the wrong. The last ritual was about to begin as they reached the revered resting ground, surrounded by ancestral territory and boundless skies. For years of clinging fiercely to control, the man now sat modestly at the edge of a grave he had assisted in digging. Words deserted him when emotion got the better of him. He spoke very little. Wordlessly, The woman hugged the urn to her breast, as though she was holding her own son, before handing it over to his father. This wordless action was not for the lens or the crowd. It was an authentic gesture of, by returning the urn to him, she placed in his hands the duty of returning their son home, just as she had once delivered their child into the world and laid him softly in his father's arms. It was a circle moment, the deep ending of a mother's process. But this movement wasn't born of reconciliation or closure between them. She said in interviews following the funeral that this gesture was anything but spontaneous. It was measured, poetic, and symbolic. For years, she had borne the anguish of knowing her son had longed for a relationship with his father that was never fully achieved. She carried the sorrow of seeing that chasm increase, aware healing had never arrived. Yet she knew that even with the space, even with the hurt, even though it might have been too late to repair their bond, the father still could make a significant move ahead. Whispers ran through the town. Some felt she had no business sharing this last act with the world. They maintained that she, who had been so strong and omnipresent, was the one who should have taken him to the grave. Maybe, they opined, such a privilege shouldn't be bestowed on a man who had so often skipped out on the meaningful moments. But others perceived the act differently. They appreciated the dignity it required to overcome bitterness. They saw a woman who opted to impose meaning instead of yielding to suffering. Although their sorrow wasn't equally shared, it was certain that grief united them. The regret of the father was palpable, although he found it difficult to articulate it. No matter how much he reflected, there was no way he could alter the brutal reality. He had lost a child whom he used to adore. But the mother gave him She offered him a part in being able to find closure by giving him the urn. The past was not erased or forgotten on her part. Rather, she respected the hard, imperfect, and deeply real process that they went through as parents. Her decision cut deeply with those who were watching from elsewhere because it expressed something universal, the ability to give grace, even in deep suffering. It was a choice to look at someone outside of their errors, to see their humanness. It demonstrated how grief can melt anger and expose the tender, resilient heart of old love. You're welcome for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for daily updates. See you soon.